In the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kickoff at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kickoffs. Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is 1 game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. "I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club." Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start as Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests. And Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament at outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are the latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. We finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was 1 game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kickoff at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kickoffs. Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is 1 game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. "I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club." Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start as Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests, and Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament as outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are your latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. It finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was one game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kick-off at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kick-offs. Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is one game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club. Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start as Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests. And Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament as outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are your latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. It finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was one game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kick-off at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kick-offs. Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is one game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club. Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start as Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests, and Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament as outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are your latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. It finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was one game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kick-off at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kick-offs. Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is one game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club. Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start as Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests. And Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament as outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are your latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. It finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was one game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were two games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kick-off at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kick-offs, Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is one game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club. Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start as Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish Lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests. And Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament as outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are your latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. It finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was one game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kick-off at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kick-offs, Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is one game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club. Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start As Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish Lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests, and Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament as outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are your latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. We finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was one game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kickoff at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kickoffs. Werder Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is one game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club. Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start as Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish Lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests. And Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament as outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are your latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. We finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was one game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the early kickoff at 5:45, and then 3 8 o'clock kickoffs were the Glimt against Inter Milan. Club Brugge host Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos face Bayer Leverkusen. There is one game taking place in the Premier League as top face bottom Arsenal make the trip to Molineux to take on Wolves. Moving on to rugby league news now, Newcastle Tigers have been rocked by the news that fullback Blake Taffy has been ruled out for the rest of the season after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament on his Super League debut. Disappointing news to say the least for the 26-year-old Australian who joined the Tigers from Canterbury Bulldogs on a 3-year deal in the off-season. He suffered the knee injury in Sunday's 26-16 home defeat by the Wigan Warriors. Well, this is what head coach Ryan Carr had to say regarding the situation. I'm absolutely devastated for Blake, and he's been a pivotal force behind the culture we are trying to build here at the club. To know he finished the game with a torn ACL is a testament to how tough he is and how much care he has for his teammates and his club. Moving on finally to rugby union news now, and Henry Pollock has been handed his first test start as Steve Borthwick makes 3 changes to his starting 15 for England's Six Nations clash against Ireland on Saturday at Allianz Stadium. England hoping to bounce back after a 31-20 defeat at the hands of Scotland at Murrayfield last weekend. This is the last game before the week off in the Six Nations. 3 games back-to-back in this new format for the tournament this season. This is the last of those first 3 games, and Pollock starts in the number 8 position alongside fellow British and Irish Lion Tom Curry, who has featured off the bench in the past 6 tests. And Ben Earl is also in the back row. Centre Ollie Lawrence returns after missing out on selection for that defeat against the Scots at Murrayfield. Tommy Freeman, who started the first 2 rounds of the tournament at outside centre, shifts back to the right wing. That's all for now. We'll have more later. These are your latest sports news headlines. I'm Alex Jack. We start with the football headlines on this Wednesday morning and a look back at the UEFA Champions League knockout round playoff first leg results from Tuesday night. We finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1 in a game that was marred by alleged racism against Vinicius Jr., the scorer of that goal in that game at Benfica. Meanwhile, it finished Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 3, and Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. There was one game that took place in the Scottish Cup 5th round as Dundee United beat Spartans by 2-1. There were 2 games in the Championship. Bristol City playing out a 2-2 draw against Wrexham. Charlton Athletic losing 3-1 at home against Portsmouth. Meanwhile, there's plenty of action taking place in the Champions League tonight. Qarabag host Newcastle United in the
11 with Pope, Willock, Elanga and Gordon. Coming in for the horse is Mateusz Kochalski in goal. A back 4 of Matthias Silva, Balul Mustafazadeh, Kevin Medina and Elvin Kafigiriev, with a midfield duo of Pedro Picalo and Marco Jankovic, with Leandro Andrade, Johnny Montiel and Amdoule Subia, the skipper, supporting Camilo Duran, who leads the line for Qarabag this evening. Whereas for the Magpies, it's Nick Pope in goal, a back 4 of skipper Kieran Trippier, Malik Chow, Dan Byrne and Lewis Hall, with Sandro Tonali partnered by Joe Willock in midfield, and it's Anthony Elanga, Nick Voltamada and Harvey Barnes, who play just in behind Anthony Gordon, who leads the line for the visitors this evening. Espan Escas is the referee for all the action this evening, and we're only minutes away. Do join us at 5:45 PM sharp for all the coverage of the early game this evening in Champions League coverage as Qarabag hosts Newcastle United. Eddie. Well, it's a warm welcome to this evening's independent off-tube studio commentary of the early clash this evening in the Champions League knockout stages. It's Qarabag hosting Newcastle United. Of course, Qarabag, what a story they had at the start of the season, winning their first 2 games and want to come back. One of the best games in the league phase of the Champions League. 3-2 win against Benfica after being down 2-0. They also won the second game against Copenhagen, but since then in the Champions League, the Azerbaijani side, well, only winning 1 of 6. Here come Newcastle early on though, with Harvey Barnes in the penalty area, striding forward, ball into the box, overstretching unfortunately. His cross second shot, I don't think it'll count as the shot was easily claimed by Kachalski in goal. So an early attack there for Newcastle. Myself and my co-cubs, we've covered Qarabağ a good few times. They're a very good watch this season in the Champions League, so looking forward to this one. It is independent off-tube studio commentary. Qarabağ hosting Newcastle United. It's myself, Lewis Raftery, joined by Nathan Wastel to take you through all the action this evening. I will bring you the lineups and changes if you did miss them in the preamble in just a moment. But Nathan, as I say, it's an early kick-off. It's a long way to travel for Newcastle. That'll obviously be on the other side when Qarabağ take the trip to St James's Park, but it's a big one this evening.
It is, yeah. Newcastle themselves have found themselves slightly unfortunate to absolutely go through to the quarter-final. Unfortunately, they have to go through this round, falling slightly short. Of course, 1-1 at the Parc des Princes in their final league phase game. I mean, Qarabağ, they scored 2+ goals at home for the last 6 games, but they've conceded 2+ goals. So they are the entertainers of the tournament. Of course, Newcastle themselves are never a boring team to watch at the Magpies, are they? So you'd like to think we're in for an interesting contest. A 5,000-mile plus round trip for Newcastle over these 2 legs. I'm just going to break off because Gordon's just going through from Dan Burn.
Oh, it's a lovely ball. He's got a one-on-one chance and he slots it in the back of the net. What a start for the Magpies. And as you were just about to say, the travelling Toon Army, they're going absolutely mental and they are in their droves this evening. They always travel well, but my word, to travel, as you said, plus 5,000 miles back and forth, but that is a perfect start. It's a lovely ball through, as you said, from Dan Bird. Lovely ball through from Gordon. He's playing up top this evening. We know he's got the finishing capabilities. He's had a bit of an off-season in the Premier League, but if anything in the Champions League, he's been excellent. Lovely ball there. The outside left boot from Dan Burn. What a start. Just over 2 minutes played. Haven't even been able to give you the lineups. What a fast start from the Magpies. It's Newcastle who lead. It's Qarabağ 0, Newcastle United 1.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. The leading top scorer in the Champions League for the Magpies, and Anthony Gordon getting his 7th of the campaign. Dan Burn, you were right in saying, coming in from defence, that shows the confidence the big man has. Outside the foot round the corner, he only needed 1 touch, and then he had to sweep it into the bottom left-hand corner just inside the box. When you do away side, doesn't matter who you're against. Champions League, there's no easy game, but to go away from home 2 minutes in, to take the lead, there is no better start. And that's a bit of a statement there from Newcastle, because a bit of question marks. It's a long trip. Are they jet lagged? Plenty of games for Newcastle. They go to the Etihad on Saturday as well. Brilliant start for them.
And they might come forward and grab a second. Lewis Hall's won the ball early ball into the box. Nearly falls for Alanga there. 1-0's a great start. 2-0 would have been magnificent for the Magpies. Quickly then, the lineups. It's one change for Qarabağ for a 1-0 win at the weekend. It's a change of goalkeepers. Buntic drops out, but Chelsea comes in for the Magpies from that big win at Villa Park. 3-1 in the FA Cup. Ramsdale, Ramsey, Murphy and Osula drop out. In come Pope, Willock, Alanga and already the goal scorer, Anthony Gordon. Qarabağ just slow it down maybe for their own good. For the hosts, it's Kachalski in goal, back 4 of Silva, Mustafa Zada, Medina and Kafikiev, with Bikalo and Jankovic as a duo in midfield, with Andrade, Montiel, skipper Zubia supporting Duran, who leads the line, whereas for the now leaders early on, it's Pope in goal, back 4 of skipper Trippier, Chow, Byrne and Hall, with a midfield duo of Willock and Tonali, and it's Alanga, Voltamada, Barnes who support, as I say, the early goal scorer, Anthony Gordon. Here come Qarabağ down the left-hand side. It's a poor pass to Zubia, but he's still going to try and come forward. Ball to be whipped in by Montiel. Now he fakes it a few times down the byline. He's got a bit of space as he overrun that. So going to go into the arms of Nick Pope, but he might have gone out for a goal kick. I believe that's what the referee this evening, Espan Escas, has given. And if anything, perfect start, as you said, watching this back, that is the technique of a world-class attacking midfielder from Dan Burn. You said as well, out the flick of the outside, it's on the money for Gordon. He don't have to change, he doesn't have to take a touch, he's not running and chasing it. It's perfect for Anthony Gordon there, and as I already said, I know that one of the teams, Newcastle, will travel fantastically well, but I wouldn't blame them if they didn't make this trip, for example. They might have more fans in the stands than Qarabağ. It's an excellent sight to see. But seeing Anthony Gordon leading the line, I haven't seen Newcastle in the past few weeks, but I'm speaking to you, you've covered a few of their games, seen Voltamada drop a little bit deeper. I think he's excellent at that role. He reminds me a little bit of a Joshua Zirkzee. Just because he's big and tall, people think he's his hold-up player and his striker. I think he's an excellent just footballer, and I think with Gordon making those runs, that'll be excellent for Baltimore. In almost 4-2-3-1, but it's almost to me a bit of a 4-4-2.
Yeah, I think for Newcastle it's a bit more of a, I think they knew this would become a transitional season for them. Of course, Isak leaving the way he did and losing a couple of players, maybe a couple of panic buys, recruitment maybe not as strong as they would have liked and a bit more disorganised. But I think Eddie Howe's just starting to find a bit of rhyme and rhythm to their players and finding good positions for them. Baltimore, like you say, dropping in, great technical player with his feet, even though he's 6'7", 8". He's giving Dan Burn a run for his money as well. So playing in behind Anthony Gordon, of course, no Wissa this evening to lead the line. So Anthony Gordon, finding his feet going up top, he can make them runs, like you say, with the pace that he has as well. So yeah, I think it's just Eddie Howe. It was square pegs and round holes at one point, but I think now he's finding a bit of groove and rhythm, a bit of a question mark over their away form as well this season. Newcastle maybe just finding that a couple of statement wins, away at Villa Park in the FA Cup, and of course against Spurs as well. 2 fantastic away wins, and like we say, it's just interesting because they've scored early, Newcastle, but it didn't settle into a rhythm. So yes, Newcastle on paper are winning, but it was interesting to see which way this game's going to fall, and Qarabag have showed glimmers there as well, so the game is still open.
They might come forward here though with Willock. It's been an excellent run, edge of the area, he might tee up Harvey Barnes, he does strike at goal, saved and then cleared away out for a corner. You know what, we were speaking with a colleague of ours and you were saying Joe Willock makes some great runs. That was one right there.
Oh, fantastic, yeah, really advancing, has a strong runner, big legs, he's taken over Anthony Gordon. He's practically the furthest man forward there. Willock trying to carry the ball forward, got caught up just behind him, laid in Barnes, trying to feed it into that bottom right, maybe didn't catch it, topped the ball into the floor, but Newcastle's first goal of the game, second overall.
Say that Willock is playing a quote-unquote defensive midfielder role. He was, as you just said then, the furthest player forward, but look, that's probably the fluidity of this formation, it has to be said. So first corner and first set piece of the afternoon going into the evening, and it will be an in-swinger from Kieran Trippier. Skipper this evening is usually a good player from dead ball situations. Play to the edge of the area. Lewis Hall leaves it. Tonali goes for the strike. It's blocked away back to Trippier. It's another in-swinging ball. They've got height in there. Heads go up. It's ended up in the back of the net. Malik Chow was up there. I want to say it's a German who's running away, celebrating. What an opening 8 minutes this has been for the Magpies. Tonali with that great shot there, that was blocked away. And I mean, these Newcastle fans, they are in absolute heaven at the moment with the scenes. It's fantastic to see. What a header from Shaw. Dan Burn and Gordon were unmarked at the front post as well. They could have tapped it in if it wasn't going on target. Tonali, he scored a fantastic double, a brace at Villa Park. He nearly scored one there. Malik Chow getting up there, the big German, big header. He scored some big goals for Newcastle there. That's a great vertical, a great leap. Goalkeeper, he's already putting all his weight to the left-hand side, but still, it's not even in the corner, it's in the side netting. It's a perfect bullet precision header from Malik Chow. It's Qarabağ 0, Newcastle 2. What an opening 8 minutes.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic for Newcastle. We were talking about the way this rhythm would settle in. 2 goals in 9 minutes. There's no better start for them. The German with his first of the season and his first in the Champions League for Newcastle. He scored for AC Milan last season in the Champions League, but gets his first for the Magpies this season, rising up brilliantly. He scored against Spurs, didn't he, of course, last week, not so long ago, maybe 8 days ago. And yeah, his first in the Champions League for Newcastle, rose up nice. He just hung in the air, didn't he? And then waited for that ball just to meet his head, used the pace of the cross to drop down and put it against the floor. You're always taught as a football, head into the ground. It makes it hard for goalkeepers. Qarabag don't even know what hit him, really. I mean, a shake of the head from Gurban Gubanov, the Qarabag manager. He doesn't know what's hit them. Even, not even double digits on the clock, Raf, and it's already 2-0 to Newcastle.
What a start. And we're expecting an entertaining game, but I mean, Newcastle, as you just said, rightfully said, they've absolutely blown Qarabag away in these opening 10 minutes or so. Look, as you said, jet lag getting in and all this and that. Maybe that's what Eddie Howard said. He's not saying, right, we've come here to play for 90 minutes of football. Of course you have. But maybe let's, in the first 20 minutes, let's try and blow them away, and then we might just unfortunately fade away a little bit. But if we have a league like they do now, it's massive. And from that cynical point of view, from me at least, in these two-legged affairs, of course, regardless of your opponent, if you just don't lose your away leg and you win your home leg, that's for me what you should always do. Newcastle, even if I know it would be playing devil's advocate, if they draw 2-2, of course you'd say, right, that's you were 2-0 up, that's poor. But then you go, yeah, but as long as we win at St James's Park, we're through. Which I think if you said to anyone, you would probably take. Yeah,
particularly Newcastle, of course, in that element. They love playing at St James's Park. They've always said that. They've always said they fancied themselves against anyone when they play them at St James's Park. So even if they took a draw back there, they'd still fancy themselves to progress into the quarterfinals to meet either Barcelona stroke Chelsea. So it's an interesting one, but to go there with such a handsome lead would put them in great stead. It really would. And like I say, it's not just wins for Newcastle recently. It's becoming a bit statement winish. You know, going to Spurs, I know they're hit and miss this season down there, but still a very tough place to go in the capital. And Villa Park's an absolute fortress, especially this season. So to go away all that way, there was question marks over how they turn up tonight. To say they're 2-0 up in 10 minutes, dreamland for Eddie Howe.
It's absolutely fantastic, and they're not fluke goals either. They were fantastic goals. Dan Burns, lovely ball into Gordon, great finish in the bottom corner. The second goal, lovely ball in from Trippier. As you said, the leap that Chow had, it was great. It wasn't, you know, lucky, own goals, this or that. They've been fantastic. And Newcastle, they've got the bit between two. They are pressing relentlessly high up the field against Qarabağ. Lewis Hall's won it and he does well to keep it. Plays it to Barnes on left hand side. They could make it a third, could they? Down the line into Joe Willock, just a little bit behind him. He'll go for a strike. It is blocked away by Medina, and then he will have to clear his lines. But Tonali, like a man possessed, his pressing ability in this opening, just over 11 minutes. And what I was saying to you before the game, looking at two quote-unquote defensive midfielders in Tonali and Willock, well, basically, they're not. They're playing as central attacking midfielders almost. There is a bit of a gap between the midfield duo and the back four, but the back four stemming up a little bit, and they are just pressing really high. They're letting Qarabağ say, you know what, if you do beat our press, look, he probably will be through, but we're going to stop you even doing that. They've won the ball again through Barnes. So yes, if they were to beat the press, they'd be in, but they just can't do that at the moment. Voltemade, a good little touch out there to Barnes, back in the middle to Willock, turns his man, sprays it out to Trippier on the right hand side. Olanga further, 1-2 with Willock. That's a lovely piece of play. Trippier into the box, it's blocked away. Would have been for a nice chance maybe for Gordon. Willock still has it on the edge into Hall. He's got a chance to swing one in, plays it wider to Barnes. Opens up for him, Willock, 1-2, Barnes might get on the end of it, back across the face of goal. Has to be cleared in the 6-yard box by Silva. This is a relentless start from Newcastle right now. I know they can't keep us up for 90 minutes, but if you're 2-0 up, maybe even push for a third, you can almost accept defensive responsibility for the rest of the game. Hall, again, Qarabağ to clear it, but either Tonali, Hall or Willock win it back straight away. Voltemado's playing as a 6 at the moment. Yeah,
it's relentless. Like you say, this for an hour and a half is seemingly impossible from a human being. So I think they're trying to get the job done early, to be honest, Newcastle, and they've hit them flash bang, and Qarabağ do look at standstill at the minute. They almost do look shocked by it all. They can't string a pass together at the minute. They can't get out their own half. I can't remember the last time the ball was out of the Qarabağ half. Presently 13.5 on the clock. It's all Newcastle.
It's some fantastic play, trying to overload this left-hand side. Poor pass by Ilanga. This is where space might open up, but then the pass is poor going forward for Duran. Back it goes. Well, it's well read, I should say, by Chow into Dan Burn, back to the goalkeeper Tonali, and then Qarabağ look off the feet at the moment because they're having to do so much defending, so much pressing. As Nathan just said, just over 30 minutes played here. It is Newcastle who lead 2-0 and looking for a third. Anthony Gordon striding through. Can he make it a third? It's a fantastic save by the goalkeeper Kachalski. That should have been 3-0 Newcastle, and a brace for Anthony Gordon. I'll bring Nathan in a second because Elanga's won it high up the field. Barnes then tries to win it, and finally Zubia might be able to drag Qarabağ further forward. What an opening 15 minutes myself and Nathan have been treated to so far. Zubia, the skipper, all the way on the right hand side, but as you just said, that should have been 3-0 brace for Gordon.
Yeah, it was practically deja vu, but it was on the left side for Gordon. He's stronger on the right. He used it on his right foot to sweep it across into the bottom left corner. This time, predominantly more on his left, trying to hook it to the right side, where it was pretty central shot. The keeper came out well, spread himself like you should do. Good save from Kachalski, the number 99. But Anthony Gordon going through one-on-one there, he has to be hitting the back of the net.
As well with confidence that he's already had a one-on-one against the goalkeeper. I think from a goalkeeping point of view, that'll give Kachalski a little bit of confidence, I'd say. I know he's already made a couple of saves from Barnes, but that wasn't a real, as you say, it was a little bit behind Barnes when he went for the shot, as you said. So it wasn't a real clear opportunity, but what a start for Newcastle. Qarabağ having a bit of possession and Newcastle sitting back, but as you said, they've blown them away in the opening 15 minutes and 2-0 up. should have been 3, but now Newcastle, it's just about maybe being a lot confident. That's great ball winning there by Voltemada. He's coming forward, so elegant for a 6'7" forward to Gordon on the left-hand side. Green jerseys are flying forward. A few step-overs in the area, plays it back to Barnes, who goes for a strike. Did that take a deflection or two, or was that shot just wide? But again, what Newcastle have with Elanga, Barnes and Gordon, with Voltemada sitting a little bit, is even if they're sitting back defensively, their counter-attacking pace is incredible. Yeah,
what I'm getting from this front three is they're not hesitant to move out of position. So trying to track and watch it for ourselves is hard enough. Imagine trying to defend against it. You know, these guys are pulling each other around. There was a touch from a Qarabağ shin. I'm not sure whether it's been caught by the referee. The Norwegian referee, yes, he has given the Newcastle corner, so the press continues.
And this is where I know it didn't come directly from a corner, if you will, because Tonali had a shot. Tonali's going to take this in swinger instead of Trippier, but in the end it will probably count as a set-piece goal because it was whipped back in for Trippier for Chow's goal, and Newcastle second. The Italian with the in-swinger to the back stick. It goes just over the head of Gordon, out for a goal kick for Qarabağ. Just over 16 minutes played. It's independent off-tube studio commentary. Champions League first leg clash. Qarabağ hosting Newcastle, and thanks to 2 quick-fire goals inside 8 minutes from Gordon and Chow, it is 2-0 to the Magpies. Just watching this replay back from when Tonali had the strike, just watching, think that's what makes sure his Trippier was onside when he swung the ball back in. Well,
close.
Onside. It's one of them where, check it of course, he always looked onside, but that's one of them where Trippier, I'm not saying he knew he was onside, but if he would have just stayed at the corner flag and just ball watched, it was good for him to get further back because he would have been offside if he was ball watching.
Yeah, that's experience, that, isn't it, from Kieran Trippier, of course. The 34-year-old veteran, he's very experienced. That's what he brings to this Newcastle side. And like you say, he could whip that in and just stand still and ball watch. But no, he pulls out, he pulls back onside in case anything gets recycled. Went back out to him, put the ball back in the box. Ball ends up in the back of the net. Very good play by the right back. The skipper, of course, this evening, no Bruno Guimaraes. Newcastle, of course, that amazing stat that they're winless without Bruno Guimaraes, but they won at Villa Park, they won at Spurs, you know. So no attempts for Qarabağ so far. 8 attempts, 5 on target for Newcastle. The stats don't lie, they really don't. But struggled without the Brazilian, the club captain, but starting to maybe just find their feet without him.
He's been so synonymous since he signed, just over 4 years ago? I want to say it was
right.
January 22, and just after takeover completed similar when Trippier came in. Dan Burn was in that window as well, but now back on the ball. So as soon as Qarabağ get it, it's relentless for Newcastle to win it back. Voltemada tries to dink it over the top for Barnes. I don't think it would have gone on the ball, but there was a slip from the English forward. But as you said, what I think's brilliant to watch, and it reminds me, just because it's been a recent turnaround for the Red Devils, how United play, in the sense of Cunha's on the left, but then he goes in the centre, and Burn moves on the left, and you don't know who to mark, as you say. But the difference is some teams do that, and it's this false 9, and there's players in front, there's no runners. With this Newcastle side, the defenders see, oh, there's no one, I can see everyone in front of me. Then Joe Willock makes a run, and you go, whose man is that? But that's the difference, is there's so much movement, but there is runners in behind, and it's been great from Newcastle. You see so much fluidity in that front 3 or 4.
Yeah, what lacked for Newcastle in large periods of this season is tenacity and confidence. I think the ability's always been there. They've got a good squad, but that's what was missing from this team. You can just see there's a bit of confidence in Eddie Howe's side, and it's starting to show on the pitch.
Yeah, it is. Elanga down the right-hand side. Looks like he's brought down. Not sure if something's been given. I assume it's the way of Newcastle. It should be the way of Newcastle. And I think the perfect example of confidence is Elanga looked a shell of himself in the first 3-4 months since he signed from Nottingham Forest. And now, even when, for example, he's come into the side this evening, but he's got a lot of confidence already. You can just see it about a player, can't you?
Of course, yeah. Sometimes it just takes one split moment. He scored that goal, didn't he? He got his first goal for Newcastle. He's hit the back of the net, and that's where Newcastle maybe just expect the Swede to kick on. And since then, he's looked fantastic. Of course, that was a losing effort against Manchester City in the Qarabağ Cup semi-final, but still, it can do a lot for a singular player, and you can see that on the pitch.
It's another set piece. It's very similar to a corner, a little further in. Lewis Hall, what I will say about Newcastle, so many good dead ball specialists in this team. Hall swings it in, the keeper has to come punch it away. It'll be kept alive inside the penalty area by Gordon. That's good defending in the end from the skipper Zubia. He clears it away off of Gordon and out of play for a throw-in. And what I will say, just because it's been such an intense start, for me, I'm not already for anything now looking at Newcastle's bench, but I'll be looking at who can you bring on. But when you've got the likes of Jacob Murphy, Joe Linton, Osula, Ramsey, you've got players to me that do scream pressing machines as well. They're not players who come in and go, oh, you're not as intense as someone else. There's a player down for Qarabağ, so they might have to make an early change inside the opening 20 minutes. We'll bring you that as soon as we get it. We're still waiting. There is a pause in play, so you're not missing anything in the game. But it's also, you look at the players who come on and you go, first of all, I don't think the quality will drop because there's some great players on the bench, but the players, Joelinton, his work rate is a 100 out of 100. The same for the other players, so the intensity can stay high with the substitutes.
The great thing is when it comes to, say, the hour mark and it's still 2-0 Newcastle, Joelinton's a brilliant player to bring on, defend that lead. That's what he brings to the team. Of course, he can bring attacking wise, but of course you look to his defending, his physicality as well from the Brazilian to come onto the field. Of course, missed a bit of time with injuries, back on the bench this evening. So a brilliant player to bring on the hour mark. There is a player just limping off as it stands. Mustafa Zada, the number 13. For all commentators, that's probably a relief that he's going off with a long name for the number 13. We'll see exactly who's going to be replaced by. Bit of a melee in the box, wasn't there? So he limps off the field, and it looks like we're going to get our first substitution of the evening. But back to Newcastle, I think we've talked about offensive. I think defensively, you know, Qarabağ have scored 2+ goals at home in every Champions League match. So for Newcastle to only have 2 clean sheets in 16 away days, all eyes for me are now on Newcastle and how they're going to defend this lead for the next stages of this game.
I wonder, do they keep this press high but not as intense? Maybe do they drop back? And you're right, we know what Qarabağ are going to do. We don't know what Newcastle are going to do. As you say, long ball forward for Qarabağ, looking for Duran. I mean, I know we sometimes see those stats of least touches in the game. That forward 4, Zubia's had a good few touches, a skipper, but we're still waiting on anything else. Again, just waiting for that substitution. As you said, Mustafa Zada's gone off, and number 18, Bolts, has come on for Qarabağ. I say that because it's independent off-tube studios. I've already said that we're at the mercy of the broadcaster. We have had no information who's come on. We've had to check a couple of social media boards and stuff like that. So that is a change at the centre-back. And as well, from Mustafa Zada's point of view, Bolt having to come on with, again, not a warm-up, not an opportunity to maybe have a few words with the boss of what he wants. If you are a Gordon who's getting behind, you're probably thinking, let me get him in the first few moments whilst I can.
Yeah, while he's still cold, absolutely. Hasn't warmed up to the game. Just seen Voltemade is going to be strong on his man on Pedro Bacalo. We're going to have to get another look. Yeah, there's a stud high. Last thing Newcastle wants to lose a man. He's just telling the referee's just telling the free kick taker just to pause. Again, like we say, we're waiting on the broadcast. We don't have the sound from the broadcast, but the referee with a potential red card check, it's been waved away pretty quickly. Of course, Premier League standards to Champions League standards, from an English point of view where we're at, very different.
Yeah, that could have been a good 5 or 6 minutes of us waiting, and then stoppage time at the back end of the first half. I think it's one of them where, if I'm perfectly honest, I don't think it's a red card, but a different referee in the different VAR system may have, because that's an inconsistency, unfortunately, with VAR. Here comes Qarabağ for the first time in a long time. Ball is whipped in down the right-hand side by Bolt, and I will say with him getting forward, there might even be a bit of a change in tactics. I'm not saying that it's a change in formation, but Bolt is definitely played in a more forward thinking area. It looks like Silva's gone to centre back alongside Medina, and Bolt will be the right back. Ball forward down the right hand side, but it will be collected by Nick Pope. Just a little bit too much on that, and it was a good ball from Medina, just a little bit over hit. But again, just sometimes get it a bit further forward. Again, question Newcastle, as you spoke about, there's goals in this Qarabağ side. It's just how many goals. Look, they play devil's advocate. They have been 2-0 down before in the Champions League, and they have fought back, but this Newcastle side look absolutely on the money this evening. Late foul is what Qarabağ won on Bolt. I don't think it was. The referee and linesman agree, and it trickles out for a throw-in for Newcastle. But we're just over halfway through this first half. What an excellent first half of the first half it's been for Newcastle as well. Just watching a replay back of that. It's one of them where it's a little bit, I'd say that's looks like a tackle in the 85th minute, a lazy leg out from Tonali, and he does catch Bolt, and I am surprised actually watching that back. I'll take it back, and that does look like a foul on any other given day. Newcastle looking to come forward. Gordon down the left hand side. Tonali, he's got Barnes, he's got players to his right, plays it to Gordon, he's got an overlap on the right hand side, plays it to Barnes, goes for a strike at goal, and it's another beautiful save from the goalkeeper there. But once again, you could see the green jerseys flying forward. 25 minutes on the clock, halfway through the first half. It's independent off-tube studio commentary. Champions League, first leg, Qarabağ 0, Newcastle 2 to take us through to half-time. Pass you over to Nathan.
Thank you very much, Raf. As we saw another chance go astray, and it was Harvey Barnes, another one that's in fine company with Gordon in terms of goal scoring. 6 goals, absolutely so crucial to this team, especially in the Champions League as well. It should be finding that right-hand side. He's put it straight at the keeper, very similar to the Gordon one about 10 minutes ago. But another Newcastle corner once again. Left arm up in the air for Trippier. Red boots in, swings it towards the 6-yard box. Big punch from the man in goal. Another the header. It's up rather than out to the edge of the box. Alanga's gone for a full left-footed volley. Sliced up into the Azerbaijani sky. And well, the F1 track in Baku might have just seen that ball pop out of the stadium there. As the ball stabbed to the far side, Qarabağ for the first time this evening have a chance to look at a vulnerable Newcastle. Down to the left-hand side. Chance to get forward. They need to move it quickly as green jerseys move back. Cross comes in, hit Hall. Qarabağ corner over on the far side as they keep left to right in this first half. All black. Good tracking from Hall and Alanga on that right-hand side. But like I say, for the first time this evening, Newcastle just looked a little bit light on numbers there.
They did, didn't they? But the corner's taken quickly and ball comes in.
Ball's going to come in flat towards inside the post. It's just going to be cleared up by Voltemada back there, scrapping for his team. Duran trying to get on the end of it, so important to this Qarabağ side. Another cross, has had another corner. It's going to hit Tonali this time. And another flurry. 26 on the clock, Qarabağ 0, Newcastle 2. Independent unofficial off-tube studio commentary. Lewis Raftery, Nathan Wastel. Ball's going to come in. It's come off Voltemada and it's flashed all the way over to the other side. Over to the near side this time. And it may be Dan Burn and Voltemada there, of course, the two most likely candidates to win the header in there for Newcastle. Danny Bolt's gone all the way backwards. I think he is called Danny Bolt. I think that's his full name is what he's recognised at. I thought it was just Bolt, but he's got Danny Bolt on the back of his shirt, so I'll just go with that. And ball into the centre to Jankovic. He's going to dance his way through that Newcastle midfield. Two easily. Good strong tackle from the goal scorer. Malik Chow wins it back. Alanga gets the jets on. He's overran it. Stabbed through, and it's going to go backwards this time to Matthias Silva. And Qarabağ stay on the ball. Good bit of possession here for the Azerbaijani team. Good win back from Willock. Strong and tenacious with the ball. He's going to look early over the top. What a ball that is for Harvey Barnes trying to take it down. And then Anthony Gordon through. What a save that is. Another crucial save. Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon should have about 5 or 6 goals between them.
I think Qarabağ are lucky it's 2-0. It should be 4 or 5 really. It's one of them with these chances. That one, the Gordon one, the Barnes one earlier. It's one of them where I think they should be doing much better with what they've got, but it's also great from because the keeper can only do what's at him. So it's great from the goalkeeper, but you also look at that for Gordon and go, oh, you have to a little bit more to your right, and it's in the back of the net, isn't it? It's great goalkeeping, but you want a bit more from your forwards there. But that's just that ball from Willock. You just were right, winning the ball, the tenacity to win it. It's perfect for Barnes. Unfortunately, it was good defending, but then Gordon has just a sight of go right. I'm going to take it off you. Barnes was happy for letting him do that. And it's one of them where, playing devil's advocate again, if Newcastle don't win this game tonight, they'll look back at this opening half an hour and say, if we should be minimum 3-0 up, I think, right now. We should have had this game, and maybe not the tie, but this game dead and buried.
Yeah, it's that's probably the one negative for Eddie Howe, is there should be more in front. Short corner for Lewis Hall. Short one's gone to the edge of the box. So Harvey Barnes, shot comes in, it's blocked. They're asking for handball. Willock's gone with a shot, it's blocked. He's begging for handball for the Norwegian referee. He's not interested. Surely go to VAR. Tonali's gone all the way back to Nick Pope. There was a sliding dive gone in. There was an arm astray, but of course you put your arm out to sort of balance yourself on the turf. So it's which way they'll look at it. But either way, it's on halfway near side with Voltemada. It looks a lot more deep now for Newcastle. He's been brilliant defensively and offensively, and he swings it into the centre circle to Sandro Tonali, centrally in his own half of the centre circle, and he's just going to go back to Dan Burn. Referee's just going to put a pause on it, point to the air. Raf, there's going to be a potential penalty check.
Like you said, usually as well, UEFA are very good at the penalty checks. We'll watch it back. There were so many bodies. It comes from Harvey Barnes. That, for me, is a handball because that's going in the bottom corner, if not for me.
Yeah, the thing is, the question posed is, it does hit the hand. There's an arm out. It's that grey area of, it's in a natural position because he's trying to balance himself on the floor to cushion his blow, to put a hand out on the floor, and he can't help that. But like you say, it's going to go end up in the back of the net, and he's put an arm out and it's hit the hand. So which way do they look at this? The referee's going at the monitor.
All I'll say is, if we're going off any, like you said, you are right. What he's trying to do there, I believe it's Matthias Silva, the right number 2, playing right back now, centre back. He's trying to block his fall, yes, but you are, and again, Qarabağ will probably argue Medina might block it if it's not his arm, but I think what you also would say is it doesn't need to be that outstretched, I think, is the thing, doesn't it? Again, what we see, the referee's walking away, so he's made his decision. We'll see in a second.
Yep, he's going to, I believe he's going to go to the live microphone, and then he points to the penalty spot. So a free shot from 12 yards. Newcastle arguably should be at least 4 in front at this point, but no greater chance than to put themselves 3 goals in front after half an hour. Well, before a ball was kicked, 76% of Newcastle's goals in the Champions League came from Gordon or Barnes this season. Gordon's got himself a goal. Of course, that's been cancelled out by a Malik Chow goal. But you would like to think a lot of Anthony Gordon's 6 goals before this game were from the penalty spot. I believe that it was either 4 or 5 goals from the penalty spot. But here we go. You would like to think it's going to be Anthony Gordon to, even after half an hour, to put this game out of sight from Qarabag. The way we've seen this opening half an hour, it would take something special for Qarabag to pull this around. But Anthony Gordon has the ball in his left arm, and he has the chance to make it 8 goals in the Champions League this season for Newcastle. Puts it on the turf, 31 minutes on the clock. Chelsea goes back to his line, and the referee allows Gordon to put the ball in the spot. It's been a brilliant dream start for Eddie Howe and his men in Azerbaijan so far. Them 2,500 miles long fans making the trip, and it's going to may just be made all the more worthy by an Anthony Gordon 3rd goal. 2 deep breaths from the former Evertonian, and a shrug of the shoulders. All eyes on the ball for him. It's a bit of a long wait for the number 10, but a blow of the whistle from the referee as he takes a confident wait, does Anthony Gordon, and he's going to step forward to try and make it 3-0 for Newcastle. He steps forward, top left-hand corner, no doubt about it. The goalkeeper goes the right way, getting nowhere near that. A brilliant penalty and a brace for Anthony Gordon after 32 minutes. It's Qarabag 0, Newcastle 3.
Perfect penalty there from Anthony Gordon. As you said, keeper goes the right way, but it's right in the top corner, right in the side netting as well. It's fantastic from Gordon. It's what you want, because sometimes you see we would say, oh, he sent the keeper the wrong way, and you watch the penalty back. This is a beautiful angle. It's a great penalty. We watch it back, don't you, and you say, oh, but if the keeper goes that way, they would have definitely saved that. That's no one saving that. The only, unless you are a 7-foot goalkeeper with a bit more, unless that's maybe Donnarumma because he's got a bigger reach, if you know. But even he would have probably had trouble getting down there, if you will, because of how quickly he struck it there. Gordon's on for a hat trick now, as you said. This game, I think, is dead and buried. The tie, well, you're almost there, aren't you? If this finishes 3-0, I think the tie is done and dusted. But Qarabag, it's about how they respond. Look how many times as well, to give the Qarabag fans out there a bit of hope that it is a bit of 2 halves, but maybe an opportunity. 3-0, what an open half an hour. Can it get better?
Yeah, well, Voldemort has played it forward from kick-off. Anthony Gordon just getting on the end of it. He's gone through as a mistake. Anthony Gordon around the keeper. It's a hat-trick. It's 2 goals in 2 minutes for Newcastle, and we thought it couldn't get any better. Seconds later, Anthony Gordon nicking it from kick-off from the back line. A mistake at the back. It may have even been the substitute in ball. I'm not sure. It may have been Medina, but he's ticked it off the toe. He's gone through and had the confidence to go around the keeper, put it into an empty net. And well, it's absolute dreamland. They could put the kids out for the second leg next week at this point. Absolutely fantastic, Newcastle. It's been the most dominant Newcastle display I've seen in recent years for the Geordies. It's brilliant. They played it into the centre. Voldemort a flick, and then it's been left across from Medina, nicked off his toes, faked the shot, and we said it should have been 4-0 already. Well, we can say it should be 6 at this point. Anthony Gordon nicked it off the toes of Medina, round the keeper, empty net. Hat-trick in the first half for Newcastle and Anthony Gordon. And 4-0. It's absolute dreamland for Newcastle.
It's fantastic, and Qarabag are crumbling like a biscuit going in a cup of tea right now. It's been terrible from them. I think the open 8 minutes, I can't really blame them just because Newcastle were fantastic. I think Newcastle have been fantastic this entire game. But my more thinking is 8 minutes in, you just go, right, that's 8 minutes, it's 2-0, let's hit the restart button, let's go. And I think they've responded well. They didn't let Newcastle come forward as much, but these last 10 minutes, it's been so much. Since I handed over to you, there's been chance after chance with Barnes and Gordon. Great penalty, great finish. The calm and coolness to take it past the goalkeeper there. Not many players can do that. You see so many players try to do it, end of the day, just the keeper takes it off of him. They take a heavy touch and the defender comes over. It's brilliant from Gordon. And Newcastle now, if 3-0 wasn't, I think 4-0 is, if we're being perfectly honest here. And I think as you said, if at half time, I'm not saying you make 5 changes because you've got to be safe. I won't be surprised if Eddie Howe goes at half time, right, let's get a Gordon off, let's get a Barnes off, let's get a midfielder off, just because, this is done. Let's bring Joe Linton on, let's get Osula on for someone for Gordon, let's give them some minutes, but let's make sure the players that, as you said, it's a big game next up as well for Newcastle. Job's done in the opening 45. It can almost be a comfortable, it's going to be a long trip back, but it'll be a comfortable one, knowing the job that you've done. And now it's about, look, if you've been a little bit for Qarabağ, look, if they get a consolation goal for Newcastle, you won't be upset, but don't let them maybe even get 2 now. You've got to keep the eyes on the job that you've got for the rest of this game now. And
I think what does come in, we talked about that poor clean sheet record for Newcastle. As time ticks on, we look towards that record and then wanting to keep a clean sheet. And ball over from Voltemade near side, just touched off. It's going to be a Newcastle throw in near side, 20 yards from the corner flag on the near side. Green and white kit for Newcastle this evening. Green top, white trim on the Adidas jersey, white shorts, white socks for them. Lewis Hall going in the safety net of his own half. And I think with all the Isak saga, look at that, 15 attempts, 10 on target for Newcastle, 0 attempts for Qarabağ. It's utter domination so far. And I just think with the Isak situation for Newcastle and the poor start, and we knew it was going to be a bit of a transparent season, at least the first half of it. Ball's going to go in the box and Medina's going to slice this clear to the edge. Lewis Hall might fancy his chances here, and it's just been cleared out. It was Newcastle's reputation may have just been smeared a little bit, of course, dropping down the table for the first half of the season. They've struggled. They lost that Derby game, big defeat there. The 1-0 own goal, that had been devastating for them. Losing heavily to the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool. It's been a tough season for them. And do you think this string of the Spurs, the Villa, and now the Qarabağ, do you think it's just a bit of a rubber stamp for Newcastle? Of course, they'll want to go about their business quietly. Of course, Eddie Howe would love that. But do you think for Newcastle, it's like, well, you need to take us seriously again, just like we were 2 years ago?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with that. And you said about statement wins, isn't it? Sometimes, this is a statement win in terms of attacking intent. Sometimes you can have a statement win with defensive displays, can't you? For example, against Manchester City, it's at the Etihad. Let's just say they win 1-0, but they're so defensively strong, it's unbelievable. That's also a statement win. It doesn't have to be 4 or 5-0. Of course, from an entertainment point of view, that's what you would want. But Newcastle, look, they're on the ball now, and what they're doing well now is controlling. Lovely from Voltemade, coming forward again.
Voltemade, he's on the 180 spin. It's brilliant. This Newcastle side reeking of confidence at the minute. Tonali over to Malik Chow. Of course, they have got numbers missing, Newcastle, as well. That's a lovely ball to left-hand side. Barnes trying to take on his man. Strong tackle goes in. Hall's going to win it back now. Relentless come off a Qarabağ man, surely. Throwing near side right in line with the edge of the Qarabağ box. Not even at half-time yet. Newcastle are 4 goals to the good. That's a poor ball in by Hall with the throw-in. Barnes going to win it back straight away far too easily. Tonali dinks it over to the near side to Hall. Chops in on the right side. Goes centrally to Barnes. Moves it over to the far side. 5 to play until we find out how much added time there'll be. It's been, apart from goals aside and that one injury for the substitution, been a fairly free-flowing first half, you'd have to say. So I can only see maybe a minute or two added on at the end of the first. Ball going to go backwards to Kalafyuliev over on that left-back position. He's going to carry it forward, far side. Cruyff turns inside. Yet to register a shot in this first half, Qarabağ. And all the way back to Kachalski in goal. He's going to be hesitant on it. He had Gordon on his tail over to the near side. Looks sluggish and slow on it. They haven't turned up yet, Qarabağ, this evening. It's not been a good display. Move to the near side to Montiel. Moves it down the line. Bit of a number 10 role for him this evening, just like the Voltemade role. Over to the near side. Cruyff turns on Hall. Moves it inside. That's better. Inside it goes. Right hand side. Cross going to come in. Hit Dan Burn. And a Qarabağ corner. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. Of course, they have the second leg. It'll be a very tough occasion for them. They needed a result this evening, looking at the Qarabağ point of view. But at this point, they're just trying to get a goal on the board. Damage limitation, isn't it?
100%. Just get something. Again, it's like, what can you take away from Newcastle this point of view? You can take a clean sheet away, can't you? There's 6 minutes before half-time. We've got this corner. Could get one now.
Ball into the box, straight into the hands of Nick Pope. It's a horrific ball into the box. And balled out by Pope, and Newcastle on the counter-attack with Trippier going over halfway. Ball inside to Elanga is a good one, to his feet. Takes on his man well, and he's hacked down. That's good feet from the Swede. We may just see our first yellow card of the evening. maybe the leniency from Espen Esgas, the Norwegian referee. We haven't seen him since September 30th of 2025 in the Champions League, since a Atalanta 2-1 victory at home to Club Bruges. But the free kick, just the free kick given, I think. But you talked about that confidence from the Swede Elanga, showing it there.
100%, because I can understand everything about it. Was it when it came in the price tag? Is it adapting to a new club, new systems? At Forest they were counter-attacking football, weren't there? Newcastle, there's a bit more of an expectation at the club. You're in the Champions League, for example. But now he's found his feet quite clearly. And again, you just look at the start of the season. He's not winning that free kick there. He's losing the ball, 100%. But now I spoke about the dead ball specialists. They've got Elanga's over it. You'd assume Trippier would take it, but they're going to take it short to Elanga.
It's Elanga. It's a decent ball, and Dan Burn straight at the goalkeeper. And it's one of them obvious statements of, you hear it all the time, either side of the keeper, and that's 5-0. It's a goal, isn't it? But he rose well. But for me, Dan Burn, we've known him for his goal-scoring prowess with his head. For Newcastle, for me, Newcastle should have 8.
100%. They might get one now, though. Coming forward, Voltemada, he's been so hard to knock off the ball as he won a corner there. He wants one. Of course, Qarabağ want the goal kick. I think the referees give it looked like a corner to me, but the referee's going to give the goal kick. I do believe he's pointed to the spot, but the Newcastle players keep walking forward. But just watching it back, it's a lovely ball from Elanga as well, is what I will say. And I think the problem Dan Burn has there is, I don't think he gets up late. I just think it's as he's turning his head. He doesn't get power on it. He's almost turning his head, and as he turns his head, it hits his face. Watching back now is asked for a corner.
He's right. Should be.
It's. I mean, Volta's going back to Voltemada as well. He did that lovely piece of turn on the left-hand space, didn't he? And again, if anything, because that's what I think is better now.
Changed his mind.
His mind. Sorry. So we've been waiting for it. The goalkeeper, Charles. If anything, I understand his frustration, because he's most like you've given me this decision, now you've took it away from me.
I think I'm fairly old school where the referee shouldn't change his mind, even if the decision knows he's wrong. I think you have to give your original decision, but I haven't seen that.
If you're wrong, you're wrong. Stick with it.
But he's changed his mind. Newcastle corner near side. Sandro Tonali to take. They've conjured up some fairly creative corners so far. See if they can make a chance of this 6th one for them. 10th overall. We've hit double figures for corners. Tonali's going to whip this one in. He's going to be glided in punch over the top. Looks like he's dipping in towards goal. We'll have 11th corner of the game. 7th overall for Newcastle. He wasn't sure, Kachalski, and I think if you're a goalkeeper and you're not sure, you just get reared. And is that dipping under the post, under the bar, sorry? He's done the right thing. He's popped it over the top. So another Newcastle corner. 42.5 on the clock. Qarabag 0, Newcastle 4. No shots on goal for Qarabag yet. 15 for Newcastle. 10 of them on target. That's fairly clinical. Tonali's going to take this one to the back post this time. Goalkeeper gets something on it. Voltemada heading it back in the melee. Something's been given by the referee. There was an appeal. Maybe in a handball there or something. I mean, for all the corners Newcastle have had, you must see Qarabag have dealt with the initial direct corners fairly okay.
Yeah, because even the goal for Chow, I said they cleared it away, didn't they? Yes, it came back in, but I assume it'll count as a set-piece goal, but he's one of them where they defended the first goal. Tonali's shot came in, it was blocked away well, and then just no one got out the trip. He took a touch trip here, didn't he, and just went, oh, you give me all the time in the world here. Let me really take a touch. Let me set myself. It was a brilliant ball. And you said about Qarabag haven't had any shots on target. Haven't even had any shots, as you say. That's the poor thing. And XG 3.7 for Newcastle. I know the penalty will be quite a big one, 0.9 or pushing 1, if you will. But Newcastle, they've been excellent. Could you imagine if they get a fifth before half-time?
You can't imagine it. I mean, it'd be up to domination. Harvey Barnes on the left-hand side, moves it inside. That's a poor ball in the end. Giving it away. Oh, he's giving it away. Gordon's throw on goal. He's going to go around the keeper. Oh, he's been pulled down. Is that going to be a penalty? It is. Another penalty to Newcastle. There's question marks here. Gordon was going away from goal. Is there going to be a card? Gordon's been taken down. He could have 4 in this first half. It's utter domination. What is going on for Qarabag? Gordon around the keeper, electric on the defence once again. Can't believe that's 8 goals in 9 matches. He could have 9 in 9 here, Gordon, in the Champions League. If he's wanting to take this, he may just give this up. Is it Medina again? It is. It's been played back. He's been slow on it. Round the keeper, yeah, that's a penalty. And Lewis Raftery, what are we seeing here this evening?
It's been just, again, crumbling at the moment. Qarabag, since the 2nd minute, they've been crumbling. It's been terrible, really. And you just look at it and go, it's another mistake. that's the thing what I would say. The first 2 goals, they're not mistakes for me. It's just Newcastle were great. It was good. It was a lovely ball from Byrne, lovely finish by Gordon, great header from Chow. The penalty's a mistake. The last one was a mistake back from Medina. Then that's a mistake as well, isn't it? Newcastle have got a pounce on them, but it's from a Qarabağ point of view. 2 goals we can't do about them. The other 3 were on us, and Newcastle took advantage. If he does take it, which it looks like he is, he will join quite an illustrious crew, because just looking at who's scored goals, 4 goals in a game, the likes of Lionel Messi, Olivier Giroud, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Overall, there's been 17. Could he be the 18th?
Well, let's find out. Could it be 5 for Newcastle? 3 minutes added on. Bit of a discussion over the penalty taker. Anthony Gordon waving away his man. Trippier's captain went over to digest the argument. But Anthony Gordon, chance to get 4 goals in the first half for Newcastle. 9-9 if he steps forward and locates. Top right-hand corner this time. It's 5-0 to Newcastle in the 46th minute. Can we believe what we're seeing? Well, we can't, but Anthony Gordon has 4 goals in the first half for Newcastle. 9-9 in the Champions League. For the Magpies. I can't believe what we're seeing. Even the most realistic Newcastle fans will be in absolute dreamland right now. I mean, tonight's probably done and dusted, you would like to say, but it's the tie overall, Lewis Raftery.
This is a point where it's got to be, and it's almost a bit of mercy, unfortunately, isn't it, against Qarabağ, because again, I think there's a Newcastle point. Again, I said earlier, from a point of view, if any team, if my team was going away in a 2-legged affair, just don't lose your away game, regardless if it's first or second. Don't lose your away game, win your home game, and then you're through, quite obviously. But that's what you want to do. Newcastle, of course, they were favourites this evening, but even 5-0 and 90 would have been a question, wouldn't it? But just because of how good Qarabağ have been, that if you had said there'd been 5 goals in this game, especially in the first half, you'd have said, oh, so is it 3-2 to someone? Because, boy, you'd expect Qarabağ to have scored, wouldn't you? And Anthony Gordon, what you would say as well, 4 goals in the Champions League, joins that illustrious group, as we said. It's also 2 elite penalties as well. That Trippier going over, whatever was said, but 10 goals in 9 matches,
now, isn't it? Yes,
that's elite. That is Kylian Mbappe, that is Cristiano Ronaldo level in terms of Champions League goals.
It's absolutely brilliant, honestly, absolutely fantastic. Can't believe what we're seeing in front of us this evening. I don't think the Newcastle fans can. Maybe even Eddie Howe can't believe what he's seen in front of him as well. Can you believe they're looking to get 6 here? Lewis Hall's on the left-hand side. What are we witnessing? Lewis Hall's going to put a ball into the back post. It's evaded everyone, including Anthony Gordon there, sniffing around. And Qarabağ just going to clear the lines. They're not going to register a shot in this first half. I've got a minute of the added on 3 to go. And they're trying to get out their own half at the minute with Jankovic. Just going to go backwards at the minute. And it's just going to have a throw-in on the far side. And honestly, I love to be an absolute fly on the wall of that team talk in the Qarabağ dressing room. Can you believe it?
I think it almost is the men in black with the button. Yeah. Right, lads, that first 45, bang.
They are the men in black, because they're wearing full black tonight.
But
fitting.
There you go.
Fitting.
I think that's, if I'm honest, I think that's the best that Mali could do as well. Look, lads, let's just forget about that. I know we're 5-0 down. Let's not be completely embarrassed and lose by even more. But come on, let's just forget about that. Play our game. They're coming forward. Now, look again, because Newcastle are so high, they can be got at. But Qarabağ have made a hard job of doing that. Ball comes in.
Headed clear, well, up and trying to get clear by Dan Byrne. Tonali's going to carry it clear, moves it to the far side to Joe Willock. Play will resume. 3 minutes are done, but we've had a lot of penalty discussion in the middle of that. Alanga's back in his pace against the fullback as he pulled down his man. I think he has. But I believe the referee, the Norwegian referee from the pullback, is going to blow for half-time. Can you believe what we're seeing? Jet lag, well, that is no issue for the Geordie boys whatsoever. Half-time, it ends Qarabağ 0, Newcastle United 5.
A 5-star first 45 minutes from the Magpies and Newcastle United, as at half-time it's Qarabağ 0, Newcastle United 5. 4 goals for Anthony Gordon and a Malik Chow header to boot. It only took the Magpies 3 minutes for Gordon to finish 1-on-1. Chow made it 2 inside 10, and then Gordon finishing off with 2 superb penalties to join a long list of players to score 4 goals in the game. Qarabağ get to have a shot in the first half. What a performance from the Magpies. They lead 4-0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes, and then Anthony Gordon scoring 2 penalties and another to boot. 4 goals in the first half for Gordon. He joins an illustrious list of players to do that. Qarabağ get to have a shot. It's Newcastle 5, Qarabağ 0. A 5-star performance in the first 45 minutes from Newcastle United as they lead Qarabağ 5-0 away from home in the UEFA Champions League. Anthony Gordon, it only took him 3 minutes to open the scoring. Malik Chow made it 2 with a lovely precision header inside 10 minutes. And it's a warm welcome back to this evening's independent off-tube studio commentary on the action from Azerbaijan as Qarabağ hosts Newcastle in the first leg of the Champions League knockout phases. And what a five-star first 45 minutes it's been for the Magpies. It's Qarabağ 0, Newcastle 5. Anthony Gordon gave the Magpies the lead inside 3 minutes, and then a precision header from Malik Chow made it 2 inside 9 minutes, and then a brace from the penalty spot from Gordon, as well as another lovely finish from the Newcastle number 10. 4 goals in the first half, joining an illustrious list of 11 players to score 4 goals in a single Champions League game. Gordon 4, Newcastle 5. How will the second half see out? Fortunately, so far it's just been on the ball for Qarabağ, if you will, so nothing to really bring you, but that's one half of the field by Newcastle. Trippier to Gordon, might have been offside, but at the moment we'll have to see how Newcastle play in the second half. Looks like they want more. Gordon down the line to Elanga, back across the face of goal, there's no one there. That would have been a tap, that would have been 6 goals for the Magpies if someone was there. Qarabağ looking to hit on the counter. I'll bring you the lineups full in a moment. A bit shocking to me, there's been no changes for either side. I thought there might have been a bit of resting going on for Newcastle at the start of the second half. Lovely tackle by Lewis Hall, and he does so well. He wins the throw. You can see the round of applause he's getting from his teammates there. He's so vital that left-hand side. If he can keep fully fit, for me, he'll be starting for England in the World Cup in the summer as well. Just so well, he wins the ball and he knocks it off the Qarabağ forward. But as I say, it's independent off-tube studio commentary. Just over 2 minutes into the second half, it's Qarabağ 0, Newcastle 5. Not even a shot on target for Qarabağ in the first 45. It's myself, Lewis Raftery, joined by Nathan Wastel, to take you through all of this second half. And I mean, what a first 45 it was for Newcastle. We were speaking, well, on the air and off the air, that this time must be done and dusted, and well, I think it is. I'll quickly bring you through the 11s as Qarabağ are trying to come forward, but Newcastle now, they're probably quite happy to sit in quite a lower block in the second half. For the host, so it's Kaczalski in goal. Alanga's gone off the field as he did pick up that knock, but it looks like he even rolled onto the Olympic track, if you will, that's outside, on the outside of the stadium. It's quite an Italian-esque stadium, the Taufik Bakramov Stadium. I think the referee's just said, right, put a pause to play because Elanga does look like he's in a bit of trouble. He's off the field, so you don't have to stop the play, but maybe Qarabağ are like, right, we'll be happy to stop. Elanga is back up to his feet, so it just looks like it was brought down. Looks like he actually slips, apologies, watching it back, and he slips when the turf meets the track, and that's just one of them where it looks like your ankle could have gone, and obviously he's rolling on the tarmac. That could be a bit of a, on his elbows and his shoulders, so for Elanga. But he's back up and back onto the field, so that's a good sign for the Magpies. As I was saying, there was Kaczalski in goal for Qarabağ. Got a feel for him in the first half. Nothing he could do about the 5 goals. Back 4 of Silva, Bolt, who came on from Mustafa Zada in the early stages of the first half. Medina and Kavakiliev as a back 4. With Bicalio and Yankov in the midfield, with Andrade, Montiel and skipper Zubia supporting Duran, who leads the line, whereas for the Magpies it's Pope in goal, back 4 of skipper Trippier, Chow, the goal scorer of Newcastle's second, Dan Burn, who has had a wonderful assist from Anthony Gordon's first, and Lewis Hall, with Tonali and Willock as a duo in midfield, but they're not really in defensive midfield, they are pushing very high up, with Elanga of Altamada and Harvey Barnes supporting the main man, the 4 goal scorer, Anthony Gordon, who leads the line for Eddie Howe and Co. Down the right hand side, Bolt, ball into the box. It's not a bad one, but Pope comes to claim it confidently and assertively. And we were speaking as well, what will Newcastle want? They will definitely want a clean sheet in the second half. Just 5 minutes into the game, well, into the second half, sorry. It is Qarabağ 0, Newcastle 5. If you are joining us, of course, we're not the only game on later this evening. Myself and Nathan will be on, I believe it's Olympiacos and Leverkusen, but we've got quite a packed schedule of European and English football. We've got Wigan versus Luton for you this evening, Grimsby versus Walsall, and of course in the Champions League, Bodo Glimt up against Inter Milan with Club Brugge and Atletico Madrid, and as I said, also myself and Nathan on Olympiacos by Leverkusen, with Kieran on Wolverhampton and Arsenal. Bit of a weird one that's on this evening. Of course, it's just a game they've got to play, but on a Champions League evening, no, it's Arsenal were top of the table, very much into the next round of the Champions League already. Newcastle are playing for that spot. Should be a big one in the title race this evening. So looking forward to all the games and all those games as they can catch on the service. Myself and Nathan will do our best to keep up to date with all those games when we do go live at 8 o'clock for Olympiacos and Leverkusen. I did just want to say that because at the moment Newcastle, they've already killed the game off with the scoreline. They're also killing the game off with how they're playing. They're just knocking it around. I'm sure this is exactly what you want to see. Lovely pass there from Trippier down the line to Willock into the penalty area. Does he win a corner there? Might have given away a foul as he tries to dink the ball over. He plants his left foot, unfortunately, on the left foot of, I believe it's Bicalo there. Yeah, it's just an unfortunate one. There's nothing malicious, of course, and nothing wrong with it, but it was unfortunately, it does catch him. We'll say as well, apologies, as it is independent off-tube studio commentary. There has been one substitution made, which we haven't been shown, as Andrade has come off and Husaneov, number 55, has come onto the field of play. He's now got the armband, so I can assume it looks more of a maybe 4-3-3 is what Qarabağ are going on. Maybe trying to pack the midfield, as we were saying as well. Probably just trying to make sure you don't concede more than 5, it has to be said. For Tamada, lovely touch there. He's still going forward. So elegant look for a 6'7" forward. I think he's found his home, maybe just playing off a forward. And again, it's Stuttgart. Well, the Bundesliga, it's a different league as well, and he's still a young striker, still finding his way as well. First was a good tackle from Zubia, but then he's taken down by Jankovic in the end. Free kick for Newcastle, and they do take it quickly, and they do take it short. Again, still surprised that Newcastle haven't gone to their bench. Looking at the two benches, Qarabağ have quite a full one, whereas for Newcastle, 3 goalkeepers are on the bench in Harris, Ruddy and Ramsdale, with Murphy, Ramsey, Jolinton, Murphy, Heavy and Osula on the bench as well. I'm sure there's Osula's on the bench thinking, right, I'd love to come on and maybe grab a few goals. Forward come Newcastle with Alanga into Gordon, lovely back heel. Defended well though at the back by Medina. Newcastle win the ball back illegally, says the referee. Foul given away by Gordon. The referee this evening is SAMMYSK. Quite an easy evening, I'd have to say, nothing controversial or decisions not going his way, if you will. Newcastle, again, it's how long can the, not keeps up your 5-0 up now, but it's in the sense of, does concentration drop? You don't want to give away one and then that leads to maybe 2, for example. They're doing really well to control this game. It's a lovely ball forward though. Here come Qarabağ down the left hand side, still coming forward into the penalty area. Ball back across the face of goal, takes a deflection off of Byrne. It will be a corner for Qarabağ, so possibly an opportunity to swing the ball into the box and create an opportunity. Again, maybe just getting 1 goal back would be an opportunity for them. They haven't even had a shot yet, so if they do get 1, it would be a shot on target to boot as well. Down the left-hand side, they do come. Opportunity Zubia. Down the left-hand side, ball comes in. It's in the back of the net, but it did look offside. The linesman's flag is up straight away. There will be a VAR check to boot as well, I can imagine, but it did look offside. It was a lovely little quick corner routine from the host. I think even Kurbanov, the Qarabağ boss, he even looks like he thought it might have been a little bit offside. It looked like Kalifikirov just went a little bit early. It's a lot closer than I thought, but it's his bodies. In this half, Newcastle are going from left to right, Qarabağ right to left. So he's in the penalty box on the left-hand side. He's just leaning to his left. I think he's quite lucky because I think it's poor goalkeeping from Nick Pope in the end, because it's just one of them where I think he swings his boot at it, puts power behind it, and there is a VAR goal check at the moment. It is a lot closer than I first thought, but there is a possibility that it does get overturned, and if it would, I'm not saying there's a comeback on, but that's a good second half start for Qarabağ. Yeah,
damage limitation if they did end up in the back of the net. First shot on target to give them the goal would be absolutely fantastic. They got something to show for it because it was an absolute embarrassing first half, but we'll see what the referee gives.
Goal review, so the referee has pointed to the spot in the middle of the pitch. So Qarabağ have been given their goal in the first opening 10 minutes of the second half. So that's, as you said, I think you perfectly said it, damage limitations. It's how many goals could you get back? If you could get 2 back, you'd take that, wouldn't you? If you can now push, but Newcastle It's almost like poking the bear, isn't it? We'll say that is so close. Obviously, again, it's independent off tube studio commentary, so it isn't an angle that we're looking at it. And as Nathan pointed out in the first half, I feel if this was in the Premier League, unfortunately, we'd still be watching that replay for another 5 minutes or so, getting the lines out. But in the Champions League and UEFA, they are spot on with the offside and technology and everything. So that was very quickly, I want to say 45 seconds, under a minute. If it takes them that long, that's fine, but good decision made. So Qarabağ do have a goal back in it. First shot on target. Well, if they can do that another 4 times, maybe it'll be 5-all. Who knows? It's Qarabağ 1. Newcastle 5. Kiliov, the full-back, getting on the score sheet. So approaching the hour mark. It's only the 4 goals that Newcastle lead by. I'm sure they would have been over the moon with that, though, if you'd have said that to them coming into this game. And again, if you're Newcastle, I'm not saying you want to sit back and defend. I think they've done a good job in this second half. They are coming forward now with Trippier into Tonali, Alanga. Is he brought down on the edge of the area? Possibly, but it's just cleared away. Only as far as goal scorer of Newcastle's second, Malik Chow. Got scored, and now 10 goals in 9 games for the former Everton man. As I said, won't go through all of them, but joins the list of he's the 18th man to do it, and he did it inside, I want to say, just looking at when his 4th went in, so went in right on the stroke of the 45th minute, so inside the first half. He's done it the likes of Van Nistelrooy, 4 goals in 76 minutes. Shevchenko did it. Lewandowski, 4 goals in 59 minutes. He does join a long list. Serge Gnabry did it, 4 goals in 35 minutes. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, 4 goals in 45 minutes. The quickest player to ever score 4 goals in a game in the Champions League was Luis Adriano. Apologies, no, it's not. Lionel Messi's done it as well. Of course, was Robert Lewandowski with 4 goals in 14 minutes for the Polish forward. Now, 4 goals in 90 minutes is excellent. 4 goals in 14 minutes. That's just utterly ridiculous. Harvey Barnes is coming forward now down the left-hand side. Tonali, he dinks it to the back sticks, looking for Trippier. It'll fall for Alanga. He floats it back in. Willock's heads goes up, falls for Barnes. Strike is blocked away. I fall for Voltemada. Going to clear the lines, the Newcastle. Trippier has it in. Is it almost maybe Qarabağ getting that goal, maybe poking the Newcastle bear a little bit?
I think it's a friendly reminder to them that they can't just sit on what they've got. Of course, Qarabağ hitting the back of the net. There you go. Newcastle love to keep a clean sheet. We talked about that start, the clean sheet start before. They've only got the 2 in the 16 away trips, and that will continue, unfortunately, for them. But yeah, we talked about, we saw Qarabağ scoring tonight. We saw that before kickoff, but at half-time we definitely didn't see Qarabağ scoring. To say they've got something from this game is something. Yeah,
I think they'll be happy, as you said. Just getting a goal. We were speaking at half-time as what can you maybe take away from Newcastle. Well, you take away the clean sheet that the Magpies have got, but at the same time I could easily see someone getting another goal in a green and white jersey this evening. Qarabağ have it in the middle of the field. Montiel out to the right-hand side, into Bolt. Of course, he came on in the first, say, 15 minutes or so for Mustafa Zada. In the middle still Bicalo. Medina, he's not had a great game so far, of course. As you said about Qarabağ, they've always in the Champions League at home this season scored at least 2 goals. I think we covered the game where they lost to Ajax, where they were leading for ever so long. Then late goals for Ajax meant that it was the Dutch side who came away with all 3 points in the league phase of the Champions League. Ball forward, Trippier intercepts, Voltemada playing the deepest of the midfielders. It just looks a little bit wrong with what you were used to seeing, but it's given away in the middle, outside the area. Strike comes in straight down the throat of Nick Pope, saved well, but it nearly lets it bobble, and it nearly fell for Montiel for an opportunity on the rebound. Willock is picking up a few minutes, of course. Everyone remembers him, and at least I do, for his loan spell at Newcastle, which then turned permanent, and just unfortunately Newcastle brought in so many great players that he fell behind the pecking order, but I think he's a top player, and he's proved that this evening. Proved that against Spurs a few games back. Voltemada, ball forward to Lewis Hall, fizzed into the feet of the fullback, does well to keep a hold of it, and Barnes comes across to hold it, but it's a good tackle from Matheus Silva. Clear it away for a throw. Just over an hour played at the Tofik Back Ramov Stadium. It is Qarabağ 1, Newcastle United 5. was a 5-star performance and 5 goals to boot for Newcastle in the first half. 4 goals from Anthony Gordon and the Malik Chow header to boot. Have them 5-0 up, and then a goal inside 10 minutes from Elvin Kafakiliev. Give Qarabağ that opportunity to at least wipe the clean sheet off of the Magpie slate this evening. Long throwing comes in from Lewis Hall. That is a very, very silly tackle from Montiel. Nothing was really happening. The ball was up in the air. Maybe that's a bit of frustration on the part of the Qarabağ man. Well, I'll say it is, because he's not even looking at the ball. He's got all eyes on the Italian Tonali, right in front of the referee as well. And he doesn't. He looks at him, gives him a bit of a shoulder barge, even a bit of maybe a cheeky elbow into the shoulder area there, and right in front of the referee. I think he's got away with not getting a yellow card. That's a yellow card all day for me, because he looks up for the sky and then he looks right at Tonali and barges into him.
Yeah, I think the referee's taken a bit of a more of a lenient approach this evening, not giving the card, unfortunately. But yeah, that was a silly one to give away. As the rain just starts to come down in Azerbaijan, that will play on to the effects. Newcastle don't look eager to get in on another goal on the score sheet as they did in the first half. You would expect that. Of course, the tempo would drop slightly as the ball comes in from Tonali. Voltemade header onto the roof of the net. That was a really big chance. One of them that you don't want to get too much connection on the ball, but he has.
You just want to get the slightest touch so it goes. So the ball does all the work, really, doesn't it? You're spot on there. And again, another chance. He's put under pressure as well by Medina, so it's good defending in the end. Almost just that bit of defending where it's that physical defending to put a striker off, if anything. But I've been very impressed by Voltemade this evening, because he's almost been said, right, you're in the midfield, but you're the most attacking player, but just go wherever you want. If you want to drop deep, link up play. Again, I obviously played a lot up front for Stuttgart, so I'm not saying that, but under Sebastian Hones, he almost was given the licence to drop deep and go wherever he wants, but there were players who made runs in behind him. I do think there's a half a degree of, well, you're 6'7", so you've got to be a striker, right? About Nick Voltemade, if he was 5'11", he'd probably be a winger, because he's such a great footballer, such great technical ability. Forward come Newcastle down the right with Trippier to Alanga. Looks for a ball through for Willock, but he made his run a little bit early, and Langer's pass was a little bit behind the former Gunners midfielder. Ball forward, nodded away by Dan Burn, or as far as Zubia, and then that's a poor pass looking for Duran. Intercepted by Burn. Willock wins it. Down there in the middle was Bicalo. Looks like he's being caught. The ball's there to be won by Willock, so I think that's what the referee is more saying is, look, it wasn't a foul. He's won the ball and then he's caught you on the follow through. It's a sore one, I can imagine. The Qarabağ midfielder is still down, and as per usual, I don't want to say this always happens, but as soon as the ball goes out of play, miraculously, the player gets back to his feet. Again, it's one of them. Willock wins the ball. If anything, Jankovic is swinging his boot as well, and then catches the underside of Willock's stud. So it's a sore one, but it's not a foul at all, is what I would say. Qarabağ, of course, still have the ball after they played it out of play. Coming forward with Durant. Out to Kafakiliev, the goal scorer. Zubia, the man who had the armband in the first half on the left-hand side. Again, himself, Durant, Montiel, that forward three, if you will, that are still on the field. They've been impressive whenever I've seen them in the Champions League this season. I just think Newcastle have been that impressive that they've just almost halted it. Looking at 2 substitutions are going to come on here. Murphy and Jacob Ramsey coming on. Could imagine, obviously, that's maybe for, let's just say, a Tonali and maybe even a Gordon or a Barnes there. But I would say those 2 changes, I'm not saying then, oh, there's going to be 2 changes 2 minutes later, but I could imagine you'll have a lot of changes done by Newcastle by the 80th minute mark. Here comes Qarabağ down the right hand side. Bolts plays it to the edge of the area to Zubia. Plays it back. Strike comes in. It's deflected out. And it will go for a corner. Not sure if Nick Pope got a save on that, but it was blocked away from going on target. Do know that much. And a corner for Qarabağ.
Yeah, Newcastle need to be careful. Qarabağ just starting to find a bit of confidence, starting to find their feet. Newcastle gave a lot in that first half. Do look a little bit heavy in the legs. Of course, a long way to go. I think Eddie Howe's... he's absolutely spot on to be making substitutions. Jacob Murphy and Ramsey, they will both bring a lot of energy to this team, the Jacobs. So 2 very sensible substitutions.
Still coming forward a Qarabağ. It's a good tackle in the middle by Willock, and now there might be a counter on for Newcastle. He does really well, which that should be a free kick. The referee's not give it. I think he's going to pause the play because it was a collision between the 2 players. I thought it's Matthias Silva and Joe Willock. I thought Matteo Silva puts his body in front of Willock in that cynical point of view, not to hurt his play, but a cynical point of view to stop a counter-attack. And there is a coming together, but I do think it's a foul.
Oh, it's a foul.
That's a foul all day long. But I think because, he takes a nasty knee off Medina, does Silva. If you watch Medina's knee here, he catches him flush on the head. So, and then Willock's gone down because it should have been a foul. So there will be a pause in play, but watching that was, of course, not meant. That's a nasty knee to take from your teammate.
Yeah, it is. It's an absolute mess, the whole melee going on there. Just getting a couple of replays of that attempt from the edge of the box. It wasn't a bad attempt. There was a Trippier knee that sent it away from goal. Had Pope scrambling over to his right-hand side in the end. But the game just starting to open up. Willock's back to his feet, and so is Medina. They're going to be okay, but that's going to give Eddie Howe and Newcastle a chance to get them substitutions going.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if there was possibly a Qarabağ sub as well. We haven't seen that lining up, but there's always a possibility, isn't there? So we will get back underway. It might even just be a drop ball because the referee did let play go on. There was a foul, so we'll just have to wait and see. And it's probably just going to be Qarabağ possession. So it's Qarabağ 1, Newcastle United 5. If you are joining us, just about over 66 minutes played. And again, what's impressive is your 4-0 buffer now for Newcastle United, and then you've got to go back to St James's Park, and it'll probably be a bit of an atmosphere, is what I will say, when they do play Qarabağ in that game. Coming off, it will be Elanga for Murphy, and it looks like Jacob Ramsey for Joe Willock. So, again, 2 changes you probably expect, along with Anthony Gordon going off and William Osula coming on. So, I saw those 2 changes, I was thinking, you've got to get Gordon off for me. Osula for Gordon. Get some licks on Osula. Gordon's job's been well done and dusted.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely fantastic. I was going to touch on that point before I saw Will Osula, that you were absolutely right in saying that it's a great time to bring the young Dane on. And I didn't see him. It was originally just the 2. And of course, like you say, Anthony Gordon getting 4 goals in that first half. He needs to be brought off and wrapped in cotton wool like Man City on Saturday as well. So at 8 p.m. So that was a substitution that's been, I think, made for Eddie Howe, and the fact that he wasn't making it, I was going to say probably a bad decision, but he has gone to Will Osula and brought him on. So 3 substitutions, a lot of energy, and like you said, the tenacity and intensity this Newcastle side have, them 3 coming on brings nothing but that.
100%. The only other player that's of a senior level in terms of outfield players as well left is Joe Linton, and we did say about bringing him on, but from a point of view of a more first team established player, you also might say, right, there's no need for you to come on, let's just see it out, or maybe bring one of the youngsters on the field, because again, Joe Linton might start against Manchester City. I mean, maybe you say to him, go get 10 minutes in your legs, maybe, because again, with the jet lag, get a bit in you, I'm not too sure. That's a mistake at the back, though, and Qarabağ will pounce upon it. That's the first mistake by Newcastle, really, this evening at the back. They've been mistake-free for most of this game. Ball is whipped in, Byrne has to deal with it, and that's the thing you don't want to start happening for Newcastle, is that mistake happens, Qarabağ maybe get a second, then get a third, and you still might win the game, but you've had this 5-goal buffer just get shorter and shorter then. Do
you think that's because of a bit of complacency? They've walked over them so strongly in that first half that it's almost a bit of nonchalance in there, that they think, well, we can take this easy because they're no good, but they're a Champions League side at the end of the day, so you've always got to be tuned in. Tonali's getting too overconfident there, and he's trying to take on his man on the edge of the box, silly by the Italian in the end. Medina's still struggling, by the way. You haven't missed anything. He went down holding that knee that Lewis Raff was talking about with that collision moments ago, but he's waving to the bench that he's going to be okay, and we're going to proceed with a Qarabağ corner.
I don't know if he was saying that I've got to go off and then maybe the officials said no, you can continue to play. I'm not too sure, but as Nave just said, it is a corner for Qarabağ. Taken shot to Zubir, fakes it back on his left, drives into the penalty area, 1-2, floats one into the box. Newcastle are a far bigger side than this Qarabağ team, so any corners offensively and defensively I think are going to be easily dealt with by the Magpies. Ball forward to Zubir, never experienced. Trippier just ushers it out and out for a throw. And I think you pointed out superbly, watching it back, looks like Osula, he goes to battle for the ball with Medina clears it, and I just think Osula, just as they're going shoulder to shoulder, he doesn't push Medina down, it's just the weight of shoulder to shoulder, maybe he just goes over on his knee. You spoke about obviously Bruno Guimaraes not being in the lineup, and you lose that experience, you lose your skipper. Kieran Trippier isn't really that first team right back for Newcastle anymore, unfortunately, but his experience, I think, has brought so much to this game.
Oh, absolutely. He's absolutely brilliant having, and that's why he's wearing the armband this evening. That's a thing, and Eddie Howe's not been shy of saying it, that it's not just what Kieran Trippier brings on the field. It's like you say, he's dropped down to maybe second string right back with Livramento taking his place, but it's what the fans don't see behind the scenes and what people don't see that aren't where the cameras aren't, and what he brings to the dressing room. And not just that, but you can see him there. He's taking his arms, he's telling the ball where to go, he's telling his players what to do next, and that's what he does bring.
He's a fantastic leader. Well, as you said, I think it's quite an underrated role, is that veteran status. And to quote like another sport in the NBA, it's always quite a big thing. And in American sports, it's a big thing, veterans leading the youngsters. It's not as big in England, because a lot of times they get over a certain age and they just are sold. That's what happens. That's the nature of the beast. Newcastle have it just inside their own half. Again, this is, I think, what you want is maybe just try and control this game out, finish it off. As Nathan said earlier, there's no real emphasis on going and scoring another. Look, I'm sure when we do meet again against Qarabağ, Newcastle are thinking, right, we'll be at St James's Park. As I said, there'll be a bit of a party atmosphere there. Lovely first touch by Jacob Murphy. He's still going forward. He might unleash a strike. He does! And he finds the back of the net. He took a wicked deflection. But what a strike from Murphy. And Newcastle grab there, 6. Murphy's strike was going to go on target, so it will go down as a Murphy own goal. But from start to finish, that is a lovely goal from left to right, the ball. Murphy takes it down on his right thigh, takes it past his man. Another touch. No one closed him down. Goes for a strike at goal. As I say, it does take a wicked deflection off, I believe it's Medina. He's having a howler this evening, it has to be said. But 6-1 Newcastle lead.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And Qarabağ get the goal. Murphy went with the left foot. Yeah, it's just one of them. When it's United, isn't it? And no pun intended from what the kit they're wearing, but a bit of rub of the green there as it's come off the top of the head. And I think it's I don't want to say comfortable, but it's fairly central with the whip. The keeper's diving, but yeah, the touch away from the defender. I mean, it's one of them that if you don't shoot, you don't score, and that's that, isn't it? You don't know what could happen, and it deflects, and that 5-goal gap margin they had has now been restored. Yeah,
maybe that's what. Maybe Eddie Howe were thinking. Maybe first game, look, I'd like to get that 5-goal buffer back, because we did have that. We sloppily gave it away, falling asleep from a quick corner. And Newcastle have their goal. As I say, watching it back, I think the keeper would have saved it, but it looks like for me it's going on target. So I think it definitely will go down. At least for the moment it does. Jacob Murphy's first goal in the Champions League this season. Qarabağ coming forward though, down the right hand side, into the penalty area. Dan Burn has to deal with it. Deals with it excellently and clears it further away. Murphy nods it to Trippier on the right hand side and clears it away. But Qarabağ, they will still have it. Yes, I think it will go down as Jacob Murphy's goal, because I say it was going on target. Yes, it took a deflection,
yeah,
but
it's on target, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's usually the rule. So I assume it will stay that. But we're just over halfway through the second half. It looks like game done and dusted in the first leg of Champions League knockout football from the Tawfiq Bakramov Stadium. It's Qarabağ 1, Newcastle United 6. It's independent off Tube Studio commentary of all the minutes of this game. We'll take us through to the last minute of this game. Pass you over to Nathan.
Thank you very much, Raf, as Newcastle have the ball with Harvey Barnes. He's had a fairly quiet evening for his standards this evening, the former Leicester man, as he moves it backwards into his own half to Malik Chow and over halfway to the near side. To that man that's just scored in Murphy, left-footed whipped into Ramsey. The substitutes link up really nicely. That's a good ball back to Murphy. Along the floor into the box, there's no one there. Voltemar, of course, late arriving. Asula made a right-handed run. He needs to be on that last man on the end of them sort of crosses. And, well, Lewis, it's like we're sat here knowing what we're going to talk about, you know. And Joe Linton gets readied and protecting that lead after that long. And, well, didn't we say that in the 20th minute or so? I'll give us our flowers.
Yes, maybe Eddie Howe's listening to our tactic meeting, so I'm not too sure. Again, it's one of them with Joe Linton, isn't it? He might, I assume, would start against City, but it's also, you've made this trip, let's get some minutes in the legs as well, and again, keep the intensity up. It's one of them, isn't it? Some coaches might say, no, I don't want you on the field because we're done. Some coaches, and I think Joe Linton was saying, he's that type of player, get me out there, boss. I want to play every minute, so he's probably chomping at the bit and in Eddie Howe's ear. But again, he might come on and say, look, I'd like to get a goal as well. Yeah, I think Voltemar might be the one that makes way, a bit more of a defensive midfielder, allows Jacob Ramsey maybe to advance forward ever so slightly. So I think the big German will be one to make the cut and have his legs saved for the weekend. Of course, like we say, 8 PM kick-off at the Etihad away at Manchester City, Newcastle. They've drawn them in at home in the FA Cup, and
they will have played Manchester City 5 times, them two meeting 5 times this season. If they ran into each other in the Champions League, it would have been 7 times, could you believe, after all that. But probably Newcastle would be happy not seeing them 7 times. They've only beaten them the once this season, losing the other 4. So Malik Chow, just in the centre circle of his own half, moves it left to his centre-half counterpart, Dan Burn. Sells Jacob Ramsey a bit short there, and he loses the ball. In it comes. Oh, that's going to be a bad one. That's probably going to be I think I'm led to believe the first yellow card of this evening, Lewis. After the Norwegian gets the card out, and he's got a few for Newcastle so far in his short tenure for the club, but Malik Chow pulls his man down centre of his own half.
Yeah, it's always a yellow card, isn't it? Last one, I think, if I'm honest, maybe on another evening, I think you said about the referee being a bit lenient with a few decisions. I think there's probably at least another 2 yellow cards, maybe in certain fouls. One on the Langer earlier, where Dan Burn had that headed effort from the set piece. That probably, I think, is a yellow card. So, but that's one. You can't deny that. Looks like Trippier will be coming off for Joe Linton. So, my assumption is possibly maybe going to a 5-back with Murphy as the wing-back, possibly?
Yeah, that sounds correct. So it wasn't the one we anticipated, but it's the one we got. Kieran Trippier makes way. So it'll be Lewis Hall at left-back, Burn, Chow, Murphy at right wing-back. We'll have to see if Joe Linton slots in, or it's a back 4 with Murphy at right-back. We'll have to see exactly what happens. My prediction will probably be a back 4. But the ball on the far side with Joe Linton, flicks it inside. First initial cameos to give it away, the Brazilian. And good battling in the centre there. Tonali tenacious on his man, but good work to hold up the play. That's going to be a free kick surely to Qarabağ. It is right hand centre of the Newcastle half. No card this time. 77 on the clock. Qarabağ 1, Newcastle 6. Round of 16, leg 1. Don't have to wait long for the second leg, as it is next week at St James's Park. Newcastle hosting Qarabağ. Of course, you'd like to think they can get the job done going into the quarter-finals. I'm just going to replay again of that 6th goal. It is one of them, isn't it? When it's your night, and that was definitely a rubber stamp of that.
100%. And again, it's when you're right about when you look in, but it's also just was great play from Murphy. It's a ball over, and he takes it down dead on his right thigh, cuts past his man, cuts past another 2, and then no one closes him down because he's created his own space, goes for goal. And I think the keeper saves it, but he would have had a shot on goal regardless. Ball comes into the box, Tonali easily sweeps it wide. Medina, it's not been his night. He's speaking about nights, it's not been the centre-back's night. But again, and that's Murphy coming on and the substitute saying, you want to start every game, don't you? And that's probably Murphy saying, that's why I should be starting, because I can also get a goal, and I want that. I want to start over Elanga against Manchester City. So that's fantastic for a squad. Is when you've got competition like that, it's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Ball into Voltemaris, centre of his own half. Right-footed ball to the near side. I think the German's been good again tonight, the number 10. Moves it to Murphy on the overlapping right. Thought about the cross. He hasn't gone for it. Back inside to Ramsey. Number 41 checks inside. Still looking for his first goal for Newcastle. His second goal for Newcastle, I should say, after getting his first against Spurs. Ball for tonight. He's too much purchase on that one for Murphy in behind. And it'll go behind for a goal kick in the end. But Newcastle just coasting through and getting the job done in Azerbaijan. The longest official trip an English side can take away in the Champions League. Chelsea have already done it in the league phase, while Newcastle have replicated that. And I think, if anything, it's a little bit further, because being up north, and if I've got my geography right, it is a few more miles than it is from London. Yeah, I'd assume so. And maybe they will. I know there's obviously, it depends where they're travelled from as well, and in certain stages. And again, it's one of them, isn't it, where play devil's advocate, let's just say it's 1-1, but 2-2 this game. That trip back's a lot longer, it feels like, doesn't it? You've won 6-1, let's say it finishes like that. You'll be quite happy to take that travel back, won't you? As a player and as a fan, I can imagine that they'll be loving life right now with the Magpie followers. They've again shown up in the droves. I ain't got an official number, but my word, whatever there was given, they've sold out, because there is not an empty seat in the away end we've seen. I expect nothing less from the Magpies. And you spoke about it's the 12th man at St James's Park, isn't it? Now I know the ties. If this tie's not done and dusted, my word, will be in for a corker at St James's Park. But they will also have the home fans who haven't made the trip this evening, and not everyone can, of course. They'll be wanting to get in on it next week, won't they? And they'll want a good atmosphere, and it'll be one of the better ones in the Champions League, as per usual, for St James's Park. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's a great spin by Ramsey in the centre. He's played through Harvey Barnes on the near side. That's a lovely ball to find him. He's going to try play it across. Can't find his man.
still on the ball. He's a bit hesitant in the box, trying to dance around his man. Can't find him in the end. Almost. It was a brilliant ball from Ramsey. Oh, it's good feet in the centre by Bacalio. And he's moved the ball to the far side. They're going to come again. Qarabag trying to get at least another goal back ball forward, straight into the feet of Dan Burn. That's not a good ball in the end. And Newcastle back on it. Far too easy that, picking it off the man. And moved over left of centre to Willa Sula, the Dane. Left of centre moves it into Jacob Ramsey. 8 to go. I mean, they'd love to hit 7. Move to the near side. And inside to Malik Chow. Just into the centre to Dan Burn as they dance around with 9 to play. Newcastle, I don't want to say party football. I think Qarabag are keeping them fairly honest as it stands. But they're in the full flow and they're absolutely... I haven't seen Newcastle play better football in that first half, really. Qarabag coming again. It's a good ball to Zubir on the near side. The number 10 hasn't shown much this evening. Up against Murphy. Murphy standing him up well. Laid to the edge of the box. Shot comes in. And that's definitely gone past the Olympic track. May have just gone past it. No. Do you know what track that might have landed on? The Formula 1 one.
You're right. It's just, again, it's just not that. And Qarabag this evening, we spoke about the men in black pushing the pen. They've got to do that, haven't they? Because, look, they're going to be out of the Champions League, but I think even getting out of into the playoffs is fantastic for them, isn't it? That's their success story, and anything else is a bonus. I think as well, we were speaking about in the first half, those first 2 goals are fantastic. Gordon being slipped in behind by a beautiful ball from Dan Burn. It is Tenali Guimaraes-esque, isn't it? The outside of his left boot. It's a top finish from Gordon. The second one, you might say the defending was poor, but I thought it was a beautiful pass and cross from Trippier. Great header. It was the other 3, wasn't it, where it's 2 penalties and the mistake where Gordon pounced upon it from Medina. That's where, if you Qarabag, you go, we could have stopped 3 goals, couldn't we? Whereas the first 2, you couldn't. So that's poor from them. But look, I think that you go to St James's Park and try and get something. Even if you draw, that kind of takes the wind maybe out of Newcastle's sail next week.
Yeah, no, I think for me, like, if say it was 3-2 to Newcastle on aggregate going into the second leg, tactically it makes it a lot harder for Qarabag to see what do we set up with. Are we a bit more defensive with the approach? Because there's only a goal in it. As crazy as it sounds, the tactics have written themselves going into next week. You're 6-1 down. You've got 0 to lose. You're expected to walk out the Champions League, so you can just go for it.
100%, just say, yeah. You know what, if we lose 4-0 in that St James's tie, we lose 4-0. But what if we won 3-1? You know, that's an epic victory for them, isn't it? Yes, you'd be out still, but what a story to say we went away to St James's Park. And yeah, you're right, if it's you lose 3-2, you go, do we sit back in the second leg? Do we go for it? Then it's very similar to when Newcastle went away to the Etihad in the second leg of the Qarabağ, in the sense of we're 2-0 down, so we've got to go for it, and then they were blown away. Or when Chelsea then went to the Emirates, well, they're only 1 down, so they sat back for so long because they needed one, and both teams lost, but they played different styles, didn't they? So, yeah, it'd be one of them, as you say.
Lewis Hall's just skipped past 4 players with ultimate ease, make that 5. He's going for a 6th. He just didn't get there, ran out, his legs fell away. But I tell you, he's apologised. He sees the funny side of it, but I tell you what, he's just skipped past 4 or 5 players. I think you're absolutely right, Lewis Raff. I think Thomas Tuchel's got a bit of a decision making, a bit of a healthy headache to make come World Cup time. Interesting to see how much Newcastle minutes he's watched. Will Asula's seen the funny side of it. But Montiel's going to make way for Qarabag. It's going to be a couple of substitutions, a couple of final substitutions. So it's Montel and Zubir. Zubir is a man we haven't seen much of this evening on that left-hand side. The number 20, Cady, is coming on, and number 11, Adai, is coming on. And I guess this is more just attacking substitutions, but why not?
Yeah. If anything, for that press, if you will, attacking press, get some fresh legs onto the field, and again maybe try and snag a second goal. You know, get it an 8-goal thriller for us this evening. I'm not too sure, but yeah, you are just going back to Lewis Hall. Yeah, a couple of years ago, I think, well, in when Trippier was playing left back, wasn't he? The second or third best right back was playing as the best left back for England because of injuries, and and form, whereas now you've got the likes of Nico O'Reilly and Lewis Hall easily up there. Luke Shaw's not missed a game for Manchester United this season, so there is a lot of good options, as you say. Lewis Hall been my number one, but just unfortunately his fitness has been a little bit of an issue. But if he gets on top of that, for me, because of what he offers offensively and defensively, he's got to be there for me starting in the for Tuchel. But again, good headache to have, as you say.
Yeah, it's moved over to the far side for Qarabağ. 4 to play. It still remains Qarabağ 1, Newcastle 6. Into the box it goes, trying to cross it in. Tonali's got there. There will be a Qarabağ corner on the far side. They're asking for a goal kick. I don't think it's going to be given. No, the referee, SAMMYSK, has given the corner kick to the home side in the end. And I've been waiting to say this stat all night. Newcastle won 4 Champions League games in this campaign. Only 2 other managers have made it 5 wins in one singular campaign. One being Graham Potter with Chelsea, the other Sir Bobby Robson with Newcastle United, can you believe? So he makes more history alongside that legendary Newcastle manager. May just be 6-2 his. The shot's come in. It's not even kind of close in the end, really. Nick Pope makes him watch that past his post in the end. And that will be a goal kick and rather comfortable. I think for Newcastle now, it's job done and dusted.
It is. And as you said about the second half, it was almost how do you approach it. We know what Qarabağ are going to do. It's what the Newcastle do. Do you sit deep for 45 minutes? Do you get on the ball? Do you knock it around? Do you take a few more risks? Do you go for more? It's a bit awkward for Eddie Howe, and I assume he'll just say to his side, look, just keep doing what you're doing, but less intensity, and make sure there's no injuries, make sure there's nothing goes wrong. Barnes has come off, and the others come on, the youngster, number 62, on his back, so what an opportunity it is for him to be able to come onto the field of play. And I will say, even that young that I've checked a couple of my social media sources, not even a page has been found for him, unless you have, Nathan. But what an opportunity to come on in the Champions League.
Yeah, academy lad Sean Neve comes on for his first team appearance, and to be in the Champions League is something. That's a great opportunity for at least a couple of minutes. Ball moved to the near side to Asula, who's gone on the right side of midfield. That's a brilliant play and a good split through. He's wants a free kick, not the offside. It's going to be given. Brave from Asula to dance through too. He'd probably be thankful that the shove came in, because sort of running into a blind alley. He is brave like that and slightly erratic, bit of a Bambi on it. It looks like he runs on stilts, but a leg comes across. It's definitely a foul.
Oh, definitely a foul all day long. Quick, another substitution coming on as well for the host. Look like it'll be Banley coming on and Duran coming off. So another attacking substitution, just probably making up the numbers at this one. But you're right about Will Asula, because he's, again, maybe 6'3", 6'4". He's a big guy.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Very quick, very nimble though, for the size that he has. He's a great ball carrier, great dribbler, and as you say, it's quite Luis Suarez-esque, where he just can bobble off of players and you don't know where he's going. Great player, and they've won this set piece.
Ball in. Oh, it's a teaser as well. Oh, it should be in. Is it going to go to the back of the net? Asula, it's cleared off the line. Can you believe it was almost 7? Dan Burn with the header saved on the line, and then Asula went to turn it home. Ball back in by Neve, and then a header wide by Malik Shaw. I tell you what, he's had not a lot to do, Kuchelski, apart from pick the ball out the back of his net, but diving across there for all the world. That should be 7. What a ball in that was, by the way.
That's a beautiful ball. And as well, my first thought was, is he onside? That's just a question, because it was just poor defending from Qarabağ is what it was, because they just let the runners go. But again, it's from Dan Burley. That's his second chance, isn't it, from a header now as well? And Asula, what he does, is just he sees a missed flight, doesn't he? Because he gets underneath it. If he's running onto that, well, he taps it home, and it is 7-1. Again, what I will say from the goalkeeper, I've got a feel for him this evening. As you say, he's picked the ball out of the back of his net 6 times. Some of the saves he has saved, some of the shots he's saved, I think, again, Gordon had one that he should have done better with, for example. But as a goalkeeper, you can only save what's in front of you, playing dangerously out from the back. So I think, as silly as it's going to sound, because how many shots now Newcastle have had on target? 20 shots, 13 on target. That's a great ratio for Newcastle. That means 13 saves. So 6? That's 7 saves for the goalkeeper. Even though he's picked the ball up his net 6 times, he's probably been Qarabağ's best player for me.
Yeah, absolutely. As crazy as it sounds. Well, we're just about to take over 90, the mandatory 90. We'll find out how much additional time there'll be at the end of this game. Maybe both teams happy to see the end of this game for two very different reasons at this point. Jacob Ramsey looking for a midfield splitting pass, just goes to the near side to Murphy on halfway, right-footed ball down the lines, asking a lot of the young lad Sean Neve, who's battling away against two, and he does well. Strong, the young man, to push the defender off the ball and force him to give a throw in on the near side halfway inside the Qarabag half. 3 additional minutes at the end of this one, and we're just getting Gurban Gabanov, long-standing manager. It's just horrible night for him. I'm just going to replay that. We were so focused on the Asula and the save that Sean Neve recycled the ball, got it back, and put a real delicious ball back in for Malik Chow.
100%, it was lovely. And again, that's one of them. If that's 1-1, you're thinking, what a chance to make it 2-1. Because it's 6-1, I'm sure there'll be a bit of a laugh and a chuckle about it. Well, the 3 minutes, that's a bit of that mercy rule, isn't it? I think if this is, again, maybe a 1-1, you're looking at 6 or 7 minutes at a time, because that's just how it seemingly works. But I like to see the 3 minutes, because there's no need for any extra time. But again, you look at what Newcastle are doing. The one you look back to, unfortunately, is losing in Elliot Anderson, how great he was. But you look at the players they're bringing through, Miley, you see Neva coming on for, yes, a short period. But you can just see when a player has it, can't you? And you can see he's got it written all over him. He looks like a great player. Real
confidence, but it looks like there's a bit of humbleness about the confidence as well, which is what you need. Murphy down the line for Asula. Touch back to Murphy in the safety net of his own half to Malik Chow. The big German's going to slice and glide the ball forward, looking for Joel, and it's a lovely ball. Takes it down on the chest, just slightly runs away from that'll be a goal kick. Slightly off balance, being nudged off the ball. Yeah, it will be a goal kick. Just tough one to take. It's going to cross your body. You're trying to sort of meet it, but Bush is spared. I think it's going to be an offside.
Yeah, it looks like the linesman's flank's gone up anyway, so as you say, it will be an offside. It's a beautiful ball, but also quite an awkward one to take. It's just what it is, isn't it? On the chest, you take it, and unless it is the perfect touch, that it then runs away from you, as it does from Joe Linton. But yeah, look, as you've already said, the travel, they've done half of the travel. The job has been more than completed away here in Azerbaijan against Qarabag. And as we said a few times, that long way back to Newcastle will be more than worth it with the result they've got here. Looking forward to the big game with City, as you said, in the second leg to come, but they might want more.
Sula into the box. Oh, he's laid it off to Neve. Oh, it's just behind him. There was a touch from the defender. That would have been a massive moment. That would have been cherry on the top for Newcastle to give the young man a goal. Sula nearly set him up, put it across the box. It wasn't a bad attempt. I just think there was a slight touch from a defender's leg.
It was, because it was just behind him, wasn't it? And I think it just takes the wickedest of deflections off of the Qarabag man, because what a moment that would have been for the youngster to get on the score sheet. Sula does everything well. I think what Newcastle have done so well this evening is the runs in behind, but then the passes to find them, they've been excellent. And as you said earlier about when it was 2-0 up, it should have been 4 or 5. 6 is actually quite kind to Qarabag.
Yeah, in the end, they could have had 3 or 4 more Newcastle in that first half. Lewis Hall has the ball on the far side. Voltemada, back it goes to Byrne. We've just about taken over the 3 added on in the end. Voltemada, he's just got the ball in his own box, sweeps it to the near side to Malik Chow, and he's just going to carry it. Referee has a glance at the watch and blows for full time. This first leg was done and dusted a long time ago. Jet lag? What jet lag? At full time, it's Qarabag 1, Newcastle 6.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting